Namaste. Hi, I'm Lesley Wilson. I teach Hatha Yoga, and today we're going to be working with a few different breathing practices, or also known in the yoga world as Pranayama. So prana is a life force, energy, and yama is a form of control. So put those words together, that's just a Sanskrit word for our breathing practices. So we're going through some pretty worrying times at the moment, and I've been asked by a few people to put together some basic breathing practices to try and rebalance the nervous system. So what happens is when we are stressed or anxious, we go into fight or flight mode, which means that cortisol is released into the system. So this causes other systems then to not function at full capacity. So something to try and calm the mind, something to focus on, and something that we can all do. So it's really important to keep the spine straight. Now I'm seated on the floor, you don't have to be seated on the floor. You can do this wherever you wish, so you can be sitting up against a wall. Alternatively, you can even be sitting in a chair, as long as the chair has got a nice straight supportive back to keep the spine as straight as possible. I'm used to sitting on the floor, I do it quite a lot, so I'm going to stay here. So the first one we're going to be working with is Ujjayi Pranayama, which is the victorious breath. Now it sounds a bit complicated, but it really isn't that complicated. And it's designed to help just bring focus and lengthen the inhalation and the exhalation. When we go into panic mode, we breathe really shallow from the top of the chest. So what we are aiming to do is try and use the whole abdomen, rib cage, top chest, all of those areas to breathe. So most yoga breathing is done in and out through the nostrils. So we're going to try and give that a go. So how to practice Ujjayi Pranayama? Basically, imagine that you're going to fog up a mirror to write a little message, or steam up a window. So you'll be making this kind of constriction of the throat, it's constricting the throat muscles. So the noise would sound. When we work with Ujjayi Pranayama, our victorious breath, we close the mouth, we still keep that throat contracted, and then we breathe in and out through the nostrils. So you'll probably you should be able to hear yourself breathing, and if you're in a room with someone else, you should really be able to hear them as well. So we're going to bring the hands into Chin Mudra, so connecting together, forefinger and thumb, other three fingers extended, and then just place them comfortably on the legs somewhere. You don't have to be cross-legged, you can be seated however you wish. So I'm going to straighten my spine, lift the crown of my head. So let's begin with Ujjayi Pranayama. And it can help to close the eyes as well. So just continue working with Ujjayi Pranayama in this way. You'll notice that the breath is automatically lengthened. It might not be the same length as mine, it might be longer, depending on your lung capacity. So in the Western world these days, we don't tend to use the full lung to breathe. We tend to just use the top third. And a lot of people do suffer with respiratory problems. So by increasing the lung capacity, strengthening lung functionality, hopefully it's going to help to balance the rest of the body, particularly the nervous system, which is really important in times of stress and anxiety. So we'll do a few more rounds of Ujjayi Pranayama. after the next exhalation, you can release Ujjayi Pranayama, the victorious breath, relax the muscles of the throat, allow the breath to just return to normal. So just take a few normal breaths now. Or a deep one if you feel the need. So something that I quite often do at the end of my yoga class before we lie down to relax is I get everyone to take a big breath in and squeeze the shoulders up nice and close to the ears. And then let it all go with a big old sigh. Breath in and squeeze. Let's do one more together. Breath in and squeeze. Okay. Couple of ordinary breaths here. So we're going to work with this, what we call the square breath now. So with a little bit of a slant on it. So let's bring the hands back into Chin Mudra. Straighten the spine. Again, this breathing is done in and out through the nostrils. So what we'll be doing is breathing in to the count of 4, holding the breath for the count of 4 if you can, and then breathing out nice and slowly, hopefully slightly longer than the inhalation. So breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out just nice and slowly, trying to lengthen that exhalation, and then starting again. So let's take a full breath in first of all, and I'll count you in a minute. And then breathe out fully. And then breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and breathe out slowly and fully. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and breathe out fully, nice and slow with control. We'll do a couple more. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and exhale fully, nice and slow. Last one. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and breathe out slowly with control. And then just allow the breath to return to normal. Now you may find that's challenging if you're not used to working with these breathing practices. Don't worry if you can't. Some people who I've taught in the past, they tend to gasp the breath in for the first 2 counts, and then they've got to try and hold it for 6, which is obviously quite a challenge. So maybe you could use the Ujjayi Pranayama throat constriction as well as working with the counting, and you'll naturally find that will automatically slow the breath down. So that's something that you could try. And remember, you can use these breathing practices at any time without the video, or you can come back and revisit the video if you've forgotten what you need to do. So we're going to work with Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, which is our alternate nostril breathing. So you may well have seen me do some of these on a couple of other videos just before I've started our warm-ups. So I'll go through it with you again. This is really, really good for rebalancing the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Again, really good for stress, good for balancing everything, and obviously the fact that you've got to concentrate on what you're doing is hopefully taking your mind off of anything else. So please feel free to join in, or if you already know what you're doing, then you can just carry on. But I'll talk you through a few rounds, and then we'll just do a few rounds in silence together. So again, I'm going to bring my left hand into Chin Mudra, so connecting together forefinger and thumb, extending away the other 3 fingers. With the right hand this time, I'm going to have Nasagra Mudra, so that's the first finger and the middle finger. We're going to rest gently on the brow centre, so just in between the eyebrows and up slightly. And we're going to use the thumb to close the right nostril, and then the ring finger we're going to use to close the left nostril, but not both at the same time. Sorry, it's the old ones are the best. But it's important that you keep the spine straight. Again, if you need to sit with your back supported by something, then that's fine, not a problem. And if you find that this arm starts to get heavy, Then you can release Chin Mudra with the left hand, bring that hand underneath the right elbow, and you can use that hand to support the right hand. It's actually better to do it that way than it is to stay with the left hand in Chin Mudra, and then obviously that arm starts to get heavy, you start to collapse down, and that's going to decrease the lung capacity, so you won't be able to breathe as freely and deeply. So probably not ideal to do this if you've got a cold, if you've got a really blocked up nose. And then the bit that we need to close is the top, just above the nostril, just above the cartilage there. So otherwise, if you do it too low down, you can get a bit of whistling, which is quite entertaining in a class. So let's bring the Sagwa Mudra to the head then. So first finger and middle finger just resting on the brow centre. So we're going to start by breathing in through both nostrils. And then breathe out fully through both nostrils. Use the thumb to close the right nostril and breathe in through the left. Close the left nostril, open the right nostril and breathe out. Breathe in through the right nostril. Close right, open left and breathe out. Breathe in left. Close left, open right and breathe out. Breathe in right. Close right, open left and breathe out. Breathe in left. Close left, open right and breathe out. Breathe in right. Close right, open left and breathe out. So you've probably got the gist of this by now, so I'm going to let you work a few rounds in silence. And then no need to rush or hurry, but after the next time that you breathe out through the left nostril, you can release this breathing practice. Relax the arms down, allow the breath to return to normal. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit calmer now, but you can work with these practices at any time. Really good for distracting the mind from other stresses and anxieties, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. Om Shanti.